This is an episode of my podcast, Self-Love and Spiritual Growth. You can find links to my podcast in the description below. Thank you for listening. Welcome to Self-Love and Spiritual Growth with Natasha Hynes, where I remind you that you came here to be the light in a dark world. So yeah, sometimes it's gonna hurt. Sometimes it might even feel like you're not gonna make it through, but you can. And you will. You're doing better than you even know. Welcome to Self-Love and Spiritual Growth with myself, Natasha Hynes. Today, I want to talk about feeling like you're damaged goods, as if something is permanently wrong with you, as if you're scarred by your past, and also how to forgive yourself. A really big problem today is toxic shame and guilt and walking around feeling like because of choices we've made in our past or things we've done or said that we could never possibly be redeemed. As if our past defines us. And when you feel like your past defines you, and your past is most likely not something you're incredibly proud of, because that's how this works. You learn from your mistakes and you grow. So as time passes, you always develop into someone who is stronger or smarter or wiser than you've been in the past. So when you define yourself as your past, you have a chronic sense of unworthiness. Not only do you feel unworthy, but it can also feel like there's nothing you can do to become worthy because you've already made the mistakes that cannot be undone. Because for a lot of us, the things that we feel shame or guilt about are things that we can't change, that we could never change. Often, they are things that we could never even apologize for. They are things that we don't feel like we could possibly make amends for, and that we will never be forgiven for. And those things stay with us. We carry them through life, and we feel damaged. Not only are these things often things that we know that weren't the best thing to do or say, but we often carry shame and guilt about things that we define as bad because society has told us that they are bad or that we are bad to have done them, experienced them, said them, thought them, felt them. Before it was commonly acceptable to be gay, people lived in the closet because of the shame that society put on them. So now we understand, most of us understand, that there is nothing wrong with being gay. So imagine that only 1 or 2 decades ago, we as society, many of us, violently suppressed gay lifestyles or feelings. What I mean to say is that we made people who felt a certain way feel bad about who they are and what they felt and what they experienced and what they thought. There was nothing wrong with it, but we made them feel like that. And the way it came out when I said it, I realized that it's actually a reflection on how many people who were in the closet were the most aggressive offenders in terms of gay bashing, because they were so confused about their own feelings that they were being triggered and then taking out the things that they felt bad about themselves, taking it out on other people, right? And that's a good example because a lot of the shame and guilt that we feel in society is around sex. Not only do we make people feel bad for being gay, but we make people feel bad for wanting to have sex. We make women feel bad because we call them sluts, slut shaming. We also do the opposite, where we make people feel bad for not being promiscuous. We call them prudes. Or we insinuate that they can't get any, right? So if you're not sleeping with a bunch of people, then there must be something wrong with you. That's what we tell people. No matter what you do, someone's going to find fault in it. Someone's going to find a reason why there's something wrong with you. And if you internalize that, then you carry that with you. You carry that with you as shame. And the difference between shame and guilt, as Brené Brown explains, is that guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. So you have things that you've done or said or whatever that you know or you personally feel that was wrong, and you feel guilt about it, and you wish you didn't do it, or wish you could take it back, or wish you could make amends. Maybe you can and you haven't done it yet, or maybe you just can't. There's no way to do so, or there's no way to do so without making even worse repercussions for yourself or anyone else involved. Then there's the shame that we feel because society makes us feel bad about who we are and how we feel and what we think and the decisions that we make. Then there's another layer that anyone who's experienced abuse will be very aware of, where if you've lived in a toxic family, or if you've had interactions with narcissists, as in maybe they raised you, or maybe you dated them, or maybe you've been friends or roommates with them or whatnot, that they pretty much always make the people around them feel ashamed of who they are. And the secret is because they feel ashamed of who they are. And I will talk about narcissism more in depth in another episode, but a lot of people don't realize that narcissists at their core, and I've posted a video about this and people just really don't agree with me on this a lot of the time, but it's actually fact. If you study psychology, a psychologist or a psychiatrist will back me up on this, that narcissists at their core are actually extremely insecure. And the narcissism is this hard shell on the outside that protects their soft, insecure, gooey inside. So because they feel like they're garbage deep down, they want everyone else to feel like garbage so that they can feel better about themselves. It's like there's two ways to build the tallest tower in town. You can either work really hard and build your tower as high as you possibly can until it exceeds all the other towers. Build it up. Or you can just build any old tower, whatever you got going on, whatever's convenient, and then tear everyone else's tower down. Well, that's how narcissists think. Instead of working on themselves and trying to be a better person and trying to contribute and better themselves, they just go around tearing down everyone else around them so that they can feel like the tallest tower. So for a variety of reasons, many of us, if not most or even all of us, go around with some form of shame and guilt and feeling often like we are damaged goods. When you feel like you're damaged goods, why would you try to be better, to improve yourself, to fix your life, to heal, to contribute to other people? It's as if you've decided subconsciously that you've already lost. You've already lost at life, so why try? And part of you might be still fighting for yourself. And fighting, part of you probably still knows the part of you that's connected to who you really are, the divine being within, being connected to source, understanding who you really are, what you're really made of, that part of you knows that you are inherently worthy and that you do deserve a better life and to love yourself and to love others, and you fight for it. But that part of you that's been programmed into your subconscious from society, from abuse, from what we've been taught is right and wrong and what's okay. These beliefs that we have that we are damaged or that we've done something so bad that we can never take back, that we can never become the person that we want to be. The part of you that believes that you've already lost before you've even tried will sabotage your efforts to change your life, to get better, to heal. So that's why you get stuck and you struggle and you claw your way towards healing and feeling better and getting into relationships with people who you want to get into relationships with people who actually love and respect you, and you want to love and respect yourself, and you're clawing and scratching your way towards the life and the state of mind and the state of being and emotional health that you want, but subconsciously you are sabotaging yourself. So we need to deal with the subconscious. We need to deal with the programming so that we can stop doing that, so that we can stop putting one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. Now, when I say that society or that we've been taught that some things are good and bad and right and wrong, because that's exactly what has happened. Even the most well-meaning parents or teachers or friends or whomever have influenced us, because we all live in this environment we call society, like being in the ocean. You know, you pour poison in one part of the water, everyone else in the water is going to be affected by that. There's no compartmentalization. We all swim in the sea of society together. And we're raised since we're very young to think that there's a hero and a villain. And the princess that can't do anything for herself and needs to be saved. And then the prince who's supposed to save her and do everything for her. And she needs to be beautiful and helpless. And he needs to be strong and fearless and completely capable of defeating absolutely any monster that comes into his path. Because if he doesn't, what does that make him? Imagine a Prince Charming. Imagine a Prince Charming who runs into an obstacle he doesn't know how to deal with. Imagine. Or what if the princess didn't need saving? What if Rapunzel said, you know what? I have an idea. I'm going to cut my hair off. I'm going to tie it to this pole, and then I'm going to shimmy down it like a rope. And then I'm going to run off, and I'm going to make a life for myself. In real life, we are these people, these self-empowered people, and these imperfect people, and these people who come upon obstacles that they might not be ready for. But we're brainwashed since we're young to believe that there's this extreme polarity and these boxes that we need to fit into if we want to be valuable. And then as we grow and become functioning humans in society, we realize we will never fit in that box. Then we have the hero-villain archetype where before the whole dark hero era. The original hero-villain archetype. The one that we're taught as kids. There's a monster. There's always a monster and a hero and a princess. And if you don't fit into one of those boxes, then you have problems with your identity. And nobody wants to be the monster. And what's the monster? The monster's always ugly. And the monster's always mean. The monster is all the things that we in society define are bad and negative. So any time in our lives where we exhibit any of these aspects that we subconsciously identify with the archetype of monster, we associate ourselves with a monster. So you're having a bad day, you don't look great. Maybe you didn't sleep enough and you're kind of moody, or you did something and said something that wasn't the best. Maybe you hurt someone's feelings and you're self-aware enough to realize it. Well, part of your subconscious has now defined you as a monster. Or even if you're trying to be the hero and you come upon an obstacle or an opponent that you didn't defeat, or that you can't defeat or don't know how to defeat, then part of your subconscious has decided that you're not the hero, because if you were the hero, you would be perfect. Or if you are a woman, a lot of the time we feel compelled subconsciously to be the princess. We want the prince to want us. We want to have that beautiful life where everything is happily ever after. If you feel that this doesn't apply to you, that's totally fine. Just please understand that I'm talking about generalities, and I'm talking about subtle subconscious beliefs and archetypes that have been programmed into us. Myself, for example, I have never been the dainty, helpless type. I have always been very physically strong and capable, and I've always gotten things done, and I've always figured things out and done them for myself. A lot of the reason is because I had a narcissistic father who never helped me with anything, and his motto was figure it out yourself. Which pros on that is that I'm really good at figuring things out. The cons is that I grew up feeling like no one would ever help me and that I had to do it myself. So because I was in that mentality or living like that and totally capable of doing things on my own, there was a part of my subconscious that believed because I can do everything on my own, that I will be alone forever. Because men only want the dainty, helpless princess. And that because I can take care of myself, men, won't want me, won't be interested, because they want someone they can rescue. That I'm intimidating. And also, narcissistic father plays into that as well. When your family tells you that you're not worthy of love on a regular basis, you start to believe it. So all these things, these subtle, all the way to very overt things, play into our subconscious beliefs that we are damaged goods, that we are not worthy of love and never will be because we can't go back and change the past. Maybe we slept with too many people, Maybe we did too many drugs, or maybe we did things that most people don't even talk about. There's a lot of things that people in general have done in their past that they will never talk about. And because they will never talk about it, and anyone else around them who's experienced similar things will not talk about it, then we go around thinking that no one's ever done it, and that we're the only ones who have ever done or said or thought or experienced those things. We feel like we are alone and that there's absolutely something wrong with us because no one else has ever been as bad as we are or were. No one else has ever done something as wrong or disgusting as we have. But that's not true. It's just that most people don't want to talk about it. But most people have done so much worse than you know. And I say worse, and I'm qualifying it for the sake of having a shorter sentence. But, we define things as right and wrong and good and bad and disgusting or not or whatever. We define them. That's not what they are. That's just what we choose to label them as. And we choose to label them as that because of the beliefs that we've been given of what it is to be acceptable in society, to be worthy of love, what we've been given as definitions of right and wrong and hero and villain. They're all definitions that have been given to us that we use to define things that we've done. They're just things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you've slept with or how you've made money or things that you've injected or taken into your body. Life is so much more complicated and difficult than the picket fence dynamic that we've been told that everybody else lives. Oh, you have these emotionally healthy parents. Everybody has these emotionally healthy parents, and you have a real fun childhood, and then you go to school and you love school and you do a whole bunch of coloring, and then you get older and you go to more school and you get real smart and you get good marks, and then you go to college and then you graduate from college and then you go off and you get a job. Oh, darn it. Sometimes it's hard to get a job. That's about as far as a lot of people have come to an understanding how, life's not as easy as we've been told it's supposed to be. But you go to get a job and then you have trouble getting that job. That's okay. You'll get another job and you make money and you buy a house and you pay your mortgage and you have a couple kids and you get a dog and, oh, shucks, we got to get some diapers. It's really late. And that's about the limits of my lifetime drama, and me and the missus or me and the mister are having some arguments over what color we want to paint the living room and all that, and it's gonna be fine, and then we're gonna just die and have our tombstones say something super generic. I don't know why I put that in there. I don't know why I said that, but point is, I'm describing this kind of frame of reference, I guess, that we have, that we're supposed to live our lives like that. We're supposed to be like that. And if we're not like that, something's wrong with us, because most people are totally like that. Most people have great childhoods with great families and have a great time in school and have an easy time getting a job, and then they get a mortgage at the bank and they have no problems paying it off. And they get into a few arguments and stuff, and everything's great. Most people, everything's super great and easy. And if you had a toxic, abusive childhood and family, and you had nervous breakdowns and failed in school, and you didn't get into college, or you got kicked out, or you didn't even try because your life situation didn't really allow for that, or you didn't have the self-esteem to even try, then you had the hardest time ever getting a job, and in order to pay the bills to get away from your toxic family, You had to do things you weren't proud of to pay the bills. You've probably had experiences with addictive substances because you felt so poorly about yourself and about the things that you had to do to make money. And you carry this with you as if because you didn't hit the marks, because your life didn't look like that archetype that we're told that our lives are supposed to be like, because everybody else's life is like that, and everybody else's life is super great. On Sundays, we mow the lawn. Then you feel this tremendous guilt and shame about who you are because you don't fit into that box. But the box isn't real. It's not real. In reality, there is almost no one whose life fits into that dynamic where everything went great and smoothly throughout their life. Yes, some people do, but boy, are their lives boring. Most people have missed a whole lot of those marks. And yet we still live in a society where we judge each other and we criticize each other and we suppress each other. Like, oh yeah, well, maybe I dropped out of college because but my problems were real, and you know what? At least I didn't have to be a stripper, so I'm not like them, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not like them. I'm better. Like, maybe my life is like kind of screwed up, but it's like not as screwed up as them. Their life's really screwed up. But in reality, what we're doing when we do that is we're just perpetuating this environment where no one can be real, where everyone feels guilty and full of shame, where everyone feels like their past is a huge stain that they can't wash off. No matter who you are, if you are living in a state of mind where you are in your ego, where you are still so hurt that you are trying to find ways to make yourself feel better about who you are for the things that you've done that you believe are wrong, for the marks that you didn't hit, we tend to do exactly that. At least I'm not like them. Maybe we should all try to stop judging other people. Maybe we should accept that people make decisions and do things and think things and whatever because they're living a different experience than us. An experience that we could never understand because we are not them. And just be empathetic or sympathetic to the fact that they have had to make different choices. And we all make choices for the same reasons. We're trying to feel better. We're trying to feel less pain and more happiness. And we do that by all kinds of bizarre means. But no matter what's happened to you, no matter what you've done, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to have a little caveat here because, well, what if, you have someone who's continuing to abuse other people or, murder, rape, or whatever, these terrible things, and they don't feel remorse. That's the key. If you felt like you've hurt someone and you feel remorse, then you have nothing to worry about. If you've hurt someone and you think it's okay to hurt people, then you have a problem to work on. Unfortunately, a lot of those people can't work on their problem because they're psychopaths. Their brain does not function like a normal person. They come out wired differently. But to the average person, The average person has empathy, and you can understand when you do something that hurts other people. And maybe you did something that hurt people because in that moment, that's all you knew, or that's what you thought was the best thing to do. And sometimes we do things that we know aren't good, but we do them to survive. And sometimes we squash out our empathy. We just shut off that part of us that feels guilt, that feels shame, that feels empathy, so that we can get it done. And that creates its own shame that we carry, because you can rationalize making a decision in the moment because you have no choice. But sometimes we have a choice, and we make the wrong choice anyways, or we make a choice that we're not proud of down the line, because in that moment that we made the choice, even though we had a better choice, that we didn't necessarily have to hurt anyone, we were struggling emotionally or mentally or physically or in whatever way. We were struggling. Whatever has caused you to make decisions in your life that you wish you could have gone and taken back, or that you feel guilty for, or that you feel ashamed of, or that you know that other people wouldn't be able to handle. Sometimes we can handle it, but the society can't handle it, so we can't talk about it. No one is damaged goods. We come here to learn. This is a very difficult place to be, Earth. It's very difficult in third density. And we are not born perfect. And we are not born in perfect environments. We are born to make mistakes. We learn from our mistakes. Who we are is not what we have done or said or accomplished or screwed up, lost, or won. We are not what we have done. We are what we have learnt from what we have done, and who we have grown into from what we have done, who we have chosen to become because of what we have done. What I want you to take away from this is that you are not alone, that more people have experienced the same thing that you have experienced than you may think. And even if they haven't experienced the exact same thing that you have, they have also experienced things that make them feel how you feel. So first is that you are not alone. The second thing is that you are not your past. You are not the things that you have done. It doesn't matter if they were things that you consider good or things that you consider bad. You are not your past. You are who you have chosen to become in the now, today. You are what you have learnt and how you have grown. The third thing is that everything that you have experienced has been a lesson. And that is what we come here for. We come here to learn. We come here for the lessons. So there's no reason to get upset with yourself or to feel bad that you've gone to school. You went to school, the school of hard knocks, the school of life. There's no reason to be ashamed of the fact that you experienced lessons. And another thing is that it really doesn't matter what other people think of you, because what they think of you is always a projection of themselves and how they feel about themselves. It's always relative to their own insecurities and how they want to tear down towers. And as society, as we grow as a collective, people learn to be more accepting. So just because they're not accepting you or what you've done or experienced now, that they may in the future. So it's not the thing that you've done that determines whether or not it's acceptable. It's whether or not people are ready to accept it. Some of the most inspirational people in the world have had the most ridiculous pasts. They've done some of the most screwed up things and have experienced some of the most screwed up things. And that's how they got to be inspirational. They went through those things, they learned the lesson, they grew from it. And then they took what they learned and how they grew, and they started to use that to contribute back into the world. So instead of living life focused on your past as if it defines you, start choosing how to define yourself today. Choose to use your past as a powerful tool to inspire people today. I hope that served you. Thank you for listening. And I have new episodes every week if you want to join me again next week. You can check out the description for the link to my website where you'll find free stuff like my course Self-Love for Empaths, which is free at the moment. Also my self-love challenge and my self-love guided meditation, as well as links to my YouTube channel, Instagram, and Facebook group. I make lots and lots of new videos and all kinds of content that you might really find useful. And please join me in the comment sections of my YouTube channel and let me know what you think of the podcast, if you have any feedback, if you have any suggestions for future episodes. If my podcast has helped you in any way, please feel free to share it with anyone else you think might appreciate it as well. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.